Welcome to Oddball, Trade Mania, Madness, Craziness. Woo! It's 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time when we're recording this. I'm Amin Elhassan. That's Izzy Gutierrez. We have to timestamp because I have no idea what's going to happen in between when we're done recording the show, when the show posts, and what happens in between, Izzy. We have no clue.
And just out of respect for the origin of me on the show, it is currently 12:46 Mountain Time. So we're going to stamp it on Mountain Time. We got to make sure.
There you go. Go get your snowboard ready for that one, ladies and gentlemen. Today's episode is brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Oh, yeah? And Izzy, things have taken a turn since we last spoke. Apparently, Kevin Durant is on the block. This is real. We are the center of Rumor Town, right? The town square has Brian Windhurst in one of those old-timey medieval hats with a bell, pointing fingers, asking, why would they do that? And he confirmed that the Suns are seriously entertaining Kevin Durant trade offers. Mark Stein, the Steinline Report, is reporting of a possible 3-team deal that would send Jimmy Butler to Phoenix, Kevin Durant to Golden State, and Andrew Wiggins to Miami. Izzy, make this make sense for me.
Well, the why would they do that is absolutely in play here. So help me out here. Explain the Phoenix Suns moving on from Kevin Durant, bringing in Jimmy Butler, and still thinking, hey, we're the team that's going to move up the standings here and make a run for this championship.
Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, you'll have to forgive me if I'm going to look down at my phone several times while recording this because I am getting active texts as we speak. All right, why would Phoenix do this? Couple of reasons. Number one, the idea is that Jimmy Butler would come and would sign some sort of extension, right? So there's a little cost certainty moving forward there. Number two, Izzy, they realized yeah, you can look at me once I'm talking and I'm not hemming and hawing. If I'm talking very clearly, it means I'm focused, I'm locked in. If I'm going, that means I'm looking down at my phone.
My eyes. Got it.
Yeah. So number two, they tried to move Bradley Beal. Turns out when you got a guy who hasn't played great and makes a lot of money and also has a no trade clause and says probably no to almost everything, it's kind of hard to move a guy like that. So I think this is kind of a little bit of a come to grips with reality. Can't move him. Number three, and this is on I feel like we all kind of said this 2 years ago whenever they brought those guys together. Kind of a lot of duplication of talents out there. And look, I get it. Kevin Durant's great. But they already got a guy who does all that stuff. He's a franchise career scoring leader in Devin Booker. Jimmy Butler brings something different. And he's younger than KD. And he brings not only a different style, but a different energy to it. Look, if you're asking me to justify it, man, I can't do it. Just like I can't justify trading Luka for one first round draft pick. I can't do it here, but I'm trying to figure out what their logic is, Izzy.
Well, I can see it. I mean, if you really want to sort of twist my arm and say, hey, I think you can do this, it is a little bit of what you said there with Jimmy Butler, doing things that maybe Devin Booker and Bradley Beal don't do. But it's also, hey, we kind of know this regular season thing isn't going to work out. And we kind of know even if we re-sign Jimmy Butler to, let's say, 3 years total, right? This year plus 2 more. It's playoff magic you're looking for. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be consistent. It just has to be turn it on when it matters. Devin Booker seems to have shown that capability. Jimmy Butler has certainly shown that capability. If Bradley Beal, maybe without Kevin Durant, maybe without as much duplication, like you said, can he turn it on in the postseason? Maybe even as a third scorer, maybe win you one game in a playoff series, maybe. But that's the biggest argument I can make there. When you talk about KD being older than Jimmy Butler, yeah, I mean, I get that. But are you talking about 2 extra years of championship level contention? Or are you just talking 2 extra years? Because I think we all can agree Jimmy Butler has done a lot to damage his reputation so far, and it's not just off the court.
Well, so let me ask the question. Jimmy Butler to Phoenix, Kevin Durant to Golden State. Which one of those teams gets closer to championship contention?
Oh, Golden State. Absolutely. I mean, it's not just because he's been there, they know how to play with him, etc. It's that Golden State has the greatest sort of variance between I can win a championship or I could be out of the playoffs, because they did that in 2022 with a team that I don't think anybody thought would win a championship. And so if you can convince them, if it would have been Jimmy Butler, right? If Jimmy would have said, okay, I'll re-sign with you, let's just make this trade happen, I think they'll definitely be convinced they're championship contender. And I think most of the basketball viewing world will be like, how can we argue against it? The only argument we have is that Draymond and Steph are a little older, but they clearly have what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at like what's been missing, right? Especially this year after their
Jordan
great
Poole.
started, not Jordan Poole, a consistent scorer that's not named Steph Curry is what they've been missing. Kevin Durant obviously fits the bill. Now, I got questions. Kevin Durant wasn't very fond of Steve Kerr's system towards the end. Remember that first year, everything was great. And by the end, he was like, I want the ball in my hands, right? Also, I've got questions. Him and Draymond Green, I know they kissed and made up, but is it like a makeup of like, okay, cool, we're good as long as you're over there and not over here? Those are questions I have about Kevin Durant returning to Golden State, even though on paper I agree with you, it all makes sense.
Oh, I don't think he wants to be there.
Well, I mean,
I think he can convince himself to be there because of the championship possibility, but I don't think he would want to go back.
But okay, couple things. Number one, this would be the way for him to come back a victor, right? Because the last time they won a championship with him, like kind of one of the things he's like, I never get any respect or credit, right? Everyone just keeps saying the original three guys, right? Now he gets to be like, hey, remember how you guys thought it would be better without me? It's not. You need me. And so he does come back to me as a victor, but I don't know if he thinks in those terms. But if he doesn't think in those terms, Izzy, let me ask you this. If he doesn't want to be in Golden State and Phoenix wants Jimmy Butler and Phoenix is willing to part with Kevin Durant to get Jimmy Butler, why the hell would Phoenix? Yeah, why do they need another team? Why wouldn't they just go direct 1-for-1? Hey, I'll give you Kevin Durant, you'll give me Jimmy Butler.
It makes all the sense in the world. Look, it's pretty obvious if Miami were offered that by Phoenix, it'd be like, yes, let's do it. And so this is a Phoenix situation where they haven't just offered that straight up, I would imagine. And wouldn't that have to do with where Kevin Durant wants to go, perhaps? Or maybe he doesn't want to go anywhere. But yeah, because if the answer is, yeah, I'm willing to move on from Kevin Durant and take on Jimmy Butler, then the question is, yeah, why don't you do that right now?
Yeah, and it feels like, well, I mean, obviously if the numbers work, they got to make the numbers work. But it feels like if Kevin Durant has a say and you're saying, hey, it's one of these destinations, and he's already told you, I don't like this destination, the other destination by proxy becomes more attractive regardless of whatever the other circumstances are. If you're Eric Spoelstra, I know you got to be looking at Andy Ellisberg and Pat Riley and the guys upstairs. Be like, wait, if they want Jimmy Butler and they're willing to part with, just give us Kevin Durant. Give me Kevin Durant. Do you remember, Izzy, before he signed with Golden State? Do you remember where people forget this story. He took the meeting with Miami.
Yes.
And Eric Spoelstra and his staff showed him in like concrete terms, play calls and all the different math. This is how we're going to use you. This is how you're going to be better than you've ever been in your entire career. And Kevin Durant walked away incredibly impressed at that meeting. And then the Golden State Warriors are like, or you could just play with us. We just won 73 games.
Which makes me wonder the whole factual, possibilities of the whole Warrior situation. Because if Jimmy doesn't want to re-sign there and KD, in theory, doesn't want to go there, why is that even in the mix? It's like, it's almost as if, Jimmy for KD straight up isn't enough. They want more out of Miami and Miami's being stubborn. But as you approach the deadline, Phoenix has to decide we're either going to struggle and be a play-in team, playoff team, or we're going to move on from him. And I'm pretty sure they've made that decision, no?
Look, I am all for sober, rational, fiscally responsible front office maneuvering. But I'll remind everybody, 2 weeks ago, me and Izzy were trying to piece together Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis deals for the Heat for Jimmy Butler. And now you have the opportunity to get Kevin Durant, make it happen. Give them whatever they want.
If
Give them
people
whatever they want.
Down on Pat Riley to this point, they're going to absolutely kick him off the boat if he doesn't get Kevin Durant this time. If the reporting is true, we could find out later that the reporting is not true. But if the reporting is true and this doesn't happen, I think we've seen enough.
Izzy, I'll ask you this. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but the cart is rolling down the hill and the horse is still in the stable, so we might as well do it. You were here in 2010. I was not. If they managed to pull off Kevin Durant from this debacle since January 1 of embarrassment, of having people question the culture, question Pat Riley, question everything that this franchise prides itself on, having Jimmy Butler and Kevin Love and everybody use social media to create a complete mockery of the entire organization that prides itself on how serious it is. If they can turn all of that into Kevin Durant, this is bigger than 2010 is.
Oh, no. Are you crazy?
This is bigger.
Do you have, okay, when you say you weren't here in 2010, where were you? On a different planet? Because that is not even the same stratosphere. Like, that was getting LeBron James in his prime and Chris Bosh.
I get it. I'm talking about the hole they're digging themselves out of. 2010, it was like, all right, we're building. And everyone was like, holy shit, Miami's kind of lining up to do this. Is this really going to happen? And then it happened like, oh my God, to the point where the parade press conference thing they did came with the huge banner. Yes, we did. Right. That was the slogan.
Yes, if this Jimmy Butler team was first round exit. Like, that's what was happening. Dwayne Wade was at the peak of his powers and they just got knocked out by the Atlanta Hawks in a first round and then the Boston Celtics. Like, this was a finals team that needed another piece. Oh no, we have to readjust. Okay, let's get Kevin Durant. I would say I don't even think it rivals Shaq. Shaq's arrival would have been bigger than that.
Izzy, we went from Tobias Harris and Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis.
You went from Tobias Harris and Chris Middleton.
Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis.
Thinking that.
Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis. That was a real rumor.
Yeah.
And now we're at Kevin Durant.
As you're saying, I don't know where you were, but I was here. And I was here in Miami. I was here doing NBA work. And I'm telling you, that was wild. This would be, this would be the second biggest trade of the trade deadline. Wouldn't even be the first.
Oh, man, we've got more news breaking. Shams just reported that the Warriors would pivot to Nikola Vucevic if they don't get Kevin Durant. Dang, this seems like just a comedy of everyone having, look, your best case scenario, you get one of the greatest players to ever play the game. The worst case scenario, you get a pretty good role player. It seems unfair. An unfair number. That's not a pivot.
I'm trying to figure out the pivot from one. I don't think you can. You might have to travel to get from Kevin Durant.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Izzy, if I said to you, hey, we might get Durant, and I come back, no, turns out it's going to be Nikola Vucevic. I'm going to travel. That's walk.
Yeah, we're going the other way. Flintstone sound on the feet like they do at the Miami's arena. Yeah, that's a trap.
All right, let's take a break. On the other side, Luka Doncic talks to the press for the first time as a Laker, and he says, motive. Welcome back to Oddball. Amin, Elhassan, Izzy, Gutierrez. I'm still checking my phone because things are still happening all across the NBA. But before we get to all the moves that have happened, we got to take a moment to discuss the biggest move at the deadline so far. And that is Drew Eubanks getting traded on his birthday. Yeah.
This is pure comedy from Help Us Wish Drew Eubanks a very happy birthday to see you later, brother. I will say, though, if the Utah Jazz were a little bit of a self-deprecating organization, they would have just said, and as your gift, you're going to be a Laker or you're moving up the standings, something like that, because obviously this is kind of a weird look.
He's not going to be a Laker. Didn't he get traded to the Clippers? Or am I getting that confused?
LA.
Yeah. He gets to move to LA, but I think he's going to the Clippers because that was the Mo Bamba PJ Tucker deal, which we haven't talked enough about, by the way. Where's PJ Tucker going to end up after Utah buys him out? We need to talk about that. No, we don't.
That's not.
Okay, so why is this important? This is all because this deal was the deal before the deal, Izzy. The Drew Eubanks deal, which allowed the Jazz to waive Mo Bamba, which allowed them to have the roster spot to acquire Jalen Hood-Schifino, which allowed them to facilitate the Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis deal. Laker fans, if you see Drew Eubanks in the streets of LA, you be sure to wish him a belated happy birthday. I don't know why I got an accent there.
The Utah Jazz are like those Allen wrench keys. They're just there to help in weird situations, not really good on their own, but I can help you put that table together. Just let me give you this little
the IKEA thing. Like it just comes in everyone, and I never know how to use it. Luka had his first press conference as a Laker. Here's some of what he said.
I was almost asleep, so when I got a call, I had to check. It was April 1st. I didn't really believe it at first. I thought I was going to spend my whole career there because I think loyalty is a big word for me, and I was trying to stay by that. But this for me is a fresh start. I get to play in LA. The fans are amazing, and I got the ocean here, so it's a really big thing for me.
I'm a little confused, Amin, about sort of what he said, because he kind of contradicted himself later when he was asked about like negative reports coming out of Dallas. He said he knew this was going to happen, whether it was a trade to the Lakers or what have you. But then he also said, I wanted to be there my whole career.
I think I figured it out. I think he meant I knew this would happen. Like as soon as I got traded, they were going to start talking bad about me and my weight and my work ethic. And he went on to say it's going to give him a good motive. Because he's Eastern European, so he says motive. He doesn't say motivation. That's too much. He says motive. I have good motive now. So he's going to try and show. And this is what we talked about the other day on the show, Izzy, is that this could be his villain origin story of like, remember when I was not hot? Guess what now? And he's all ripped and he shows up and it's like She's All That or any other movie.
Why does
from the
that
90s.
Take me directly to Rob Pelinka? Because I feel like when he was getting dressed for this press conference, he's like, look at me now. Because he's got that super tight leather jacket with the zipper opening up at the bottom.
Rob Pelinka is essentially the Freddie Prinze Jr. of this Luka Doncic movie, where Luka Doncic was, no one can make Luka look cool. He's got glasses on and he's chunky. And then Rob Pelinka comes with his leather jacket. Next thing you know, the hottest, the it person in school is that the same Luka? We just took off the glasses and let the hair down, and now here we are. Yeah.
Rob did say he was very sort of just thankful toward the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to play this sound because this is him talking about acquiring Luka, not talking about his jacket.
It's a gift. We're talking about a 25-year-old that is top 3 player in the universe. I can't think of a more amazing starting point to build a roster for the next decade.
Yeah, first of all, your tee-up was flawless because it's a gift. He's like, yeah, I got this. Yeah, my wife thinks I really look good at this. Also, Rob Pelinka, I love listening to Rob Pelinka talk because he has, and I love you, Rob. This is not a question of your character, but you do have the speech patterns of someone who's full of right? What I mean by that is this. Like the whole, he's a top 3 player in the universe. Ooh, let's make the known, like the sample size even larger. Dog, we already know, man. Like the 451st best player in the NBA is the 451st best player in the universe. They're here. So like making it the universe versus the world versus the league doesn't really like distort the information in any way, changing its meaning. But I like that he does that because he understands you got to sell at all times.
It does make sense though when you think about it, because they were reportedly the only team, maybe one more, that Mavericks talked to, and they were still able to talk them down reportedly from Dalton Connect and more draft picks. So I would be incredibly thankful if I were Rob Pelinka too. Like, it's the biggest move I will ever make in my career, and I look like not only did I just bring him in, but I was able to make the deal more favorable toward us, despite not having any leverage.
Yeah, it's like buying your cereal from Costco as opposed to buying it from the convenience store, right? Like if you get it from like from a gas station, cereal is way overpriced because they know like you're coming to a gas station to buy cereal. Like, what did you think?
Stay out of the cereal aisle.
Oh, oops,
there's another trade. I don't want to give me a hard time about my health practices, but there was another trade. Chris Haynes told us that the Dallas Mavericks were not done making move. I thought it would be bigger than this one, though. They traded Quentin Grimes and a second-round pick for Caleb Martin. Now, the internet apparently is saying that Quentin Grimes is the better player here and that Dallas did not win this trade. I think that's just flat out wrong.
The internet is on crack. What are you guys talking about? The producers had to bring this to our attention. Because everyone I know is like, and I'm sorry to be the look at me Louie, but everybody I know works in basketball, so we actually know what we're talking about. But the internet apparently thinks otherwise. No, look, Caleb Martin is, first of all, he is experienced, right? This is a guy who's played on a finals team, on a conference finals team. This is a guy who should have won MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals in 2023, the way he destroyed the Boston Celtics. He plays both ways, offense and defense. He guards 1 through 4. He's got good size. He gives the Mavericks incredible flexibility, the kind that Nico Harrison was talking about in that intro press conference. With
Most
Jason
importantly
Kidd.
to me, I mean, he is settled in. He understands I'm a role player. I know exactly where I will fit in, regardless of who the stars are around me. And just let me define that role for me and let me play it. I will do it well. Quentin Grimes has not been in that role for a quality team. We have no idea what that's going to look like. Caleb Martin was almost MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals.
And one last thing on that note, when you think of someone who hasn't proven it yet versus someone who has proven it, also the guy who has proven it is under contract at a very, very affordable rate for the next 3 years past this one, whereas the guy who hasn't proven it is a restricted free agent. Now, Izzy, when you're about to be a free agent, do you do what's best for the team and be subtle and just fit in where you get in where you fit in? Or do you try to, I got to build my value up. I got to get my stuff going. And there's nothing wrong with that for a young player who hasn't made his money yet. But the reality is Dallas is in a very different place right now.
Or if you're a free agent, you just call Dan Le Batard. It's time for Prop-A-Slot. Prop-A-Slot's presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Hell yeah. You know the rules. This slot machine will generate a real DraftKings prop bet from tonight's games. If we get to the third spin, we have to take that bet. Let's see what the first one is.
This game continues to confound me because I just don't know when to say stop. Right? That's the problem here.
We've got De'Aaron Fox over on points at 24.5. It's a Spurs debut tonight in Atlanta. Should we expect him to hit the ground running here, or do we think that this is too big of a question mark and he's maybe going to try to set up Wembanyama the whole time?
Is he exactly right?
The plus 140 on this bet, by the way.
He just got there, right? And he wanted to be there. Why? Because he wanted to play with Victor Wembanyama and because his family is from Texas, his wife's family is from Texas, etc. But the point is, it's your first day. You want to make sure everyone's comfortable. Oh, it's good.
Exactly.
I'll do the dishes. Don't worry, no, you don't get up. You're doing all that polite stuff. There's no way he's scoring over 24.5 points.
Okay.
Give me the next one.
Next one.
Watch him have 40 now. Just that. Okay.
And stop. All right,
that meter went for a long time. Yeah.
Over 14.5 points. That's for minus 105 right now. Wizards traded Kyle Kuzma to the Bucks for Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, and a pick swap. So that means that Coulibaly might get more looks here.
Yeah, Kuzma famously said, "I'm done helping young guys develop." And I'm like, what are you talking about? Who did you help? But he's right. He did help him by not playing, because when he doesn't play, Bilal averages 15.6 points per game. When Kuzma does play, Bilal's averages go down to 10.4. So over 14.5, even though I have a long-standing policy not to bet on the Wizards. I think I'm going to bet on the Wizards.
Really?
I like this one. Yeah,
all right, so let's take the time then to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, what are they getting with Kyle Kuzma here? Because it seems like it's a good spot for him because it's kind of like the LA position, right? I'll be the third guy behind two stars and see what happens. But I don't know if he's an efficient scorer that they need.
The problem is, are we getting Kuzma from 2020? That played on the Lakers, that helped them win a championship, that was cutting off ball and playing good defense and giving rebounding support? Or we're getting Kuzma from Washington, who's a dip who shoots it every time he touches it.
I like to call long sleeves Kuzma. Just the fashionable guy.
At the very least, I think Milwaukee can say he's an upgrade on Chris Middleton for where Chris Middleton is right now. But I think maybe you could see some more moves being done because they are under the second apron now.
I mean, to me, it's kind of a nothing move, to be honest. But since we heard this sound, you want to see the last spin?
What was the last spin? Let's see what it was. The background. What was that? James Harden over on assist?
Nope. You got to spin it again. I mean, you know how this works.
We only have 5 seconds left in the show.
Well, then hurry up with the damn spin.
Hartenstein.
Hartenstein over 11.5 rebounds. Glad we didn't go there.